Did you know that we have channel memberships now? If you'd like to help support this channel, get some exclusive Kawabana emotes to use in the comments, as well as an exclusive badge by your name, click that join button now to find out more. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks guys. This channel is all about sharing weird, bizarre, and strange stories, and this week is no different. Once again, we're going all the way back into the past, 1916 to be exact, to look at a strange incident that came to be known as the Shimakura incident. Shimakura Gihei was born in 1871 in Yamagata Prefecture. He graduated from a Tenrikyo school before very briefly attending a Christian school after. He remained in his hometown until the age of 32, when he was convicted of theft. Shimakura then left home for Nara and Kyoto, where the following year he was once again convicted of theft and once again punished. Shimakura continued to drift aimlessly through life until he met a Christian pastor in April 1911. The two men spoke deeply of Shimakura's life and troubles, and Shimakura himself was so impressed with the pastor and his devotion that he asked the man if he could introduce him to a new job so that he might be reborn. For his part, the pastor was apparently so impressed with Shimakura's sincerity that he decided to introduce him to an American missionary in Yokohama who worked for a company selling Bibles, and they were able to secure work for him as a salesman there. Yet, turning over a new leaf was apparently more difficult than Shimakura thought it would be, and although his life and circumstances certainly improved, mysterious fires seemed to follow Shimakura wherever he went. And each time one of these mysterious fires broke out, Shimakura collected handsomely on the insurance money. His lifestyle grew more and more extravagant, and Shimakura went from being a single man in a simple rented house to having a wife, maid, and a 2-story gated house with a telephone that he owned all by himself. Despite claiming to have been reborn, Shimakura's actions clearly displayed otherwise, and at some point, he also attacked his maid, giving her an STD. When the woman's uncle found out about this in 1913, he demanded that Shimakura pay him 100 yen in damages. This type of consolation money was not uncommon at the time, and was usually paid to settle matters in a timely and somewhat official way for all involved. Yet, soon after this, Shimakura's maid made it known that she wished to return to her parents' house back in Shodo Island, an island off the coast of Kagawa Prefecture. She never made it, however, because she mysteriously disappeared before she was able to return. The woman was never found, and that, seemingly, was the end of that. Yet it wasn't the end of matters. Not even close. A few years later, the American Bible company that Shimakura worked for reported that they were missing over 10,000 books from their stock. A detective from the Kagurazaka police station in Tokyo tracked these books down to a single person selling a large amount of Bibles in Kanda. It turned out to be, of course, Shimakura himself. Not only was he profiting from the many fires he seemed to suffer from, but he had stolen stock from his own bosses and was selling it on the side to pocket 100% of the profits. 3 detectives from the Kagurazaka police set out to arrest Shimakura, yet he ran when he saw them coming, escaping to the roof of his neighbor's house before sliding down a telephone pole and running. Shimakura was able to stay on the run for an entire month before police finally arrested him in front of Tomioka Hachimangu Shrine. He was placed in a detention center as police tried to get to the bottom of the case, but Shimakura did not handle this well and reportedly acted out so bad that not even the police could keep control of him. During this time, a detective from Kagurazaka went to visit the Takanawa police station, a district where Shimakura had lived, and reported that his house had caught fire. The Takanawa detective brought up another interesting case from around the same time, where a woman's body was discovered in an old well in Osaki. A young woman's parents had put in a missing persons report when she didn't return home, and on October 22nd, 1914, they found a woman's corpse in the well. The report for the incident stated that the body had likely been in the well for 6 months after death and belonged to a tiny woman in her early 20s. Now, Shimakura's missing maid was older than this, but all the other details matched. Was it possible that Shimakura murdered his maid on top of all the other crimes he was committing? The detective thought it was a good possibility, and so he ordered the corpse to be exhumed. They discovered fragments of clothes, 2 gold dentures, and the woman's canine teeth exactly matched that of the missing maid. Combined with the testimony from her parents, it was judged that the corpse was indeed the missing maid, and that Shimakura must have killed her when she tried to leave. He was then charged with her murder as well. Initially, Shimakura denied everything. Yet police persisted, and after 5 straight days of interrogation, he finally confessed and admitted to all charges. But this wasn't to stick either, and at the second trial, Shimakura retracted his confession and provided evidence to explain all charges against him. First, he claimed that he didn't steal the Bibles, but rather he had a key and was allowed to take them. He also claimed to know nothing of the fires. As for the body in the well, he claimed the skeleton was far too large to be that of his maid. He also accused the Kagurazaka detective of hiding information that proved the body belonged to the daughter of a confectioner, making it impossible that it could be his former maid. Shimakura constantly caused trouble during the trial, yet police were able to bring in hard evidence that the body in the well actually was the maid's. For example, they found pubic hair on the body from the maid, as well as pieces of satin from clothing that belonged to an old lady who lived with her. Photographs and measurements also proved the skeleton was the exact same height as the maid. This once again sent Shimakura into a rage in the court, and one of the judges was reportedly quoted as saying, "Sometimes when a man gets angry, he turns into a beast." In the end, Shimakura was found guilty, and on July 9, 1918, he was sentenced to death. He reportedly wrote thousands of pages of memoirs while he was in prison awaiting death, but on June 19, 1924, he hung himself before his sentence was able to officially be carried out. Shimakura's behavior was analyzed in the years following his death, and some believe that he may have had multiple personality disorder. He suffered from brain disease when he was younger, followed by a nervous breakdown, and the various strange actions he carried out throughout his life seemed to indicate that he may have actually been of 2 minds almost his entire life. Either way, the fact remained that Shimakura's maid was killed, and her body abandoned in a well, and the most likely culprit was Shimakura himself. Yet, this wouldn't have been uncovered if not for his apparent seeming unluckiness to be around fires that paid him out handsomely, and that time he took over 10,000 Bibles from his own company to sell on the side, all of which circled back around to his missing maid that he had a history of assaulting. But what do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.